Aid trucks rolled into Gaza today, but far fewer than agreed after Israel threatened to cut supplies, claiming that Hamas is returning the remains of Israeli hostages too slowly. Hamas returned another 4 bodies late last night, although Israeli authorities said one of those bodies was that of a Palestinian man.
For the second night in a row, 4 bodies arrived for identification in Tel Aviv. 24 families had been waiting, hoping for closure at last. But just 3 of them were the remains of Israeli hostages held in Gaza.
Hamas also released another body overnight, and after going through the proper identification process at the Forensic Institute in Yaffo, it is confirmed the body is not of a hostage. We stand clear when we say this. Hamas, the terror organization, is required to uphold its commitments to the mediators and return all of our hostages.
The handovers are happening as fast as they can, Hamas insists, and the Red Cross warned that, with much of Gaza buried under rubble, it will take time. But in retaliation, today Israel appeared to make good on its threat to restrict aid into Gaza. This is the Kerem Shalom crossing, or as close as we can get without getting in trouble with the Israeli police. This is the only crossing where aid is getting through to Gaza. On the other side, there are more than 2 million people, many of them desperate for food. Here, just 20 trucks of aid have made it through so far today, a tiny fraction of the 600 Israel has agreed to. For those 2 million people, life continues to be about survival. Displaced families living in tents, surrounded by the ruins of their homes. No water, no electricity, winter approaching. The trucks that do make it through carry food, water and medical supplies. But for an enclave gripped by famine, it's nowhere near enough.
Well, Edmund has made his way back to Tel Aviv, from where he joins us now. And Edmund, we saw some trucks passing through where you were today, but what of the major Rafah crossing? Any sign of that or indication that that may open?
Well, right, there's been an awful lot of confusion about Rafah today. Rafah is closed and has been for many months. Now, it looks like it might open tomorrow, but only for the movement of people, not humanitarian aid. It appears like there were no discussions during the ceasefire talks about reopening Rafah for aid. Now, trucks are piling up at the Rafah crossing in anticipation that it might open soon, but we've no idea when that is going to be. There are 3 major crossings into Gaza. There's Erez in northern Gaza, there's Rafah in Egypt, and then there's Kerem Shalom, where I was today. The deal that Israel has signed up to, under that, they've agreed to let 600 trucks of aid into Gaza each day. The reality is that's not a lot. Many towns in Ireland probably have a couple of hundred trucks passing through them each day. So Kerem Shalom should be well able to handle this load. But it appears that Israel is tying the delivery of aid to the release of dead hostages. And in the meantime, 2 million people are caught in the middle. Ray?
Edmund in Tel Aviv, thank you.
Returning to the situation in Gaza now, and just before coming on air, I spoke to Fawaz Girgays, Professor of International Relations at the London School of Economics. I began by asking him who is providing security on the streets of Gaza now.
Well, Hamas is reasserting its control. Hamas is filling the security and governance vacuum in Gaza. In the past 72 hours, Hamas has been able to mobilize at least 7,000 men in order to restore law and order. So what we are really seeing is that despite 2 bloody years of war and loss and suffering, the only game in town is Hamas. There is no other rival organization that could challenge Hamas' power, firepower, and also organizational capacity.
In the past 2 years, we know that there are various clans and militias that have been operating in Gaza. What more is known about them and how much power they wield?
Hamas historically has faced, major rivals in Gaza. In particular, clans, and one of the biggest clans is Darmush. And since the 7th of October, 2 years ago, Israel has been really creating, you might say, militias, collaborating with militias in Gaza in order to strike at Hamas. and the leader of this militia, the popular forces called Yasser Abu Shabab. So what we have seen in the past 72 hours is Hamas is really trying to crack down or clamp down very hard on both the Israeli collaborators, the collaborators with Israel, and also its traditional rivals and looters and thugs and criminals. And what we have seen in the past 72 hours is extremely alarming. Hamas fighters executed at least 8 men in cold blood without any kind of judicial trial or even review. So what Hamas is trying to do is to really racing against time to basically establish itself as the only hegemon in Gaza, to restore its power, to tell the world, look, if you really want security, if you really want stability in Gaza, I am the only one who can really bring security and stability. And also, it's telling the people in Gaza that Hamas is the only organization that could really restore law and order and bring about security.
And yet the US peace plan says that Hamas has to decommission its weapons or else they will be disarmed. Is that likely to happen anytime soon, do you think?
I don't think so. I think this is a very, very uncertain challenge facing not only the Americans, but facing the government that signed the deal. Hamas is not an alien creature. Hamas is an integral part of the social fabric of Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, occupied East Jerusalem, and outside Palestine. Hamas is truly gives a voice to the very identity of armed struggle against Israeli occupation. You cannot just, get rid of Hamas. Hamas is a social movement. The only way you can really limit and weaken Hamas is to create an all-out inclusive Palestinian force. Only an inclusive, led Palestinian force could really basically weaken and undermine Hamas. Any international force could really face, stiff resistance in Gaza, despite the fact that Hamas has suffered considerable losses. Thousands of its fighters have been killed, but its battle-hardened fighters continue to be the most organized and the most powerful organization in Gaza.
Fawaz Girgay, Professor of International Relations, speaking to us there a little earlier.